It's 29-9.
Okay.
All right. We'll go to the Battle of New York or New Jersey, depending on what side that you're on. You got the Giants and the Jets, two good young quarterbacks on not very good teams. You have Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold. Who's going to have a better career?
Career or week?
Or both?
I think
brought it up.
I think that I honestly think that Jones is the better overall quarterback.
Right.
He doesn't necessarily. I mean, neither one of them really have a whole lot of weapons to work with. I think that in terms of defenses, the Jets have done a little bit better in terms of defense and stopping teams up. I think this could be a close game. It could be one of those where it's like a 10-9 at the end of the game, or it could be like neither defense decides to show up, and so it could be like a 31-28 game at the end of the game. In terms of fantasy, my favorite players in here as far as the Jets go is probably Jamison Crowder. I think Le'Veon Bell is playing. He did not practice today. Still had some knee soreness. If he does not play, it's Ty Montgomery. So I think that Montgomery is an interesting play if you're desperate for running backs because of all the bye weeks. But really, Jamison Crowder is my favorite fantasy wide receiver for the Jets. In terms of the Giants, really Jones and Darnold are both quarterback too. Saquon Barkley obviously is going to be one of my top 6 or 7 running backs for this week. In terms of the wide receivers for the Giants, I really think that Golden Tate is obviously going to be the best option in terms of fantasy there, but I still only have him as like a low end wide receiver too. So I think in the end, honestly, I still think the Jets win this game over the Giants. I think I'll say 24-21 Jets.
I'm going with the Giants. And you made my argument for me. I think Golden Tate is a good weapon to have for a young quarterback. I mean, he's worked with them all. So I'm going to go with the Giants on this one. I'm going to go the Giants will win 26-21.
Okay.
All right. The Bruce Arians Bowl is in Tampa Bay. The Cardinals, once upon a time, were coached by Arians, and now, once upon a time now, okay, we have Arians coaching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are your thoughts about that one?
The only thing either of these two teams can do defensively is stop the run. In terms of fantasy points, the Buccaneers are top 3 in terms of giving up fantasy points to running backs. The running backs score an average of about 9 points less than their projections over the last few weeks. While the Cardinals defense, they're middle of the road against running backs. Everything else, every other category, whether it's quarterbacks, wide receivers, or tight ends, these defenses are giving up in the top 10 most amount of fantasy points to all those positions. So this should be almost no defense in this game and should all be just passing the ball like crazy. So Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston, I both have as top 10 quarterback options. I have, Evans and Godwin should be in for massive games this week. Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald should be in for solid games. The tight ends, neither one of these offenses use tight ends, and even though these are the number 1 and number 2 teams in terms of giving up points to the tight end position, none of the tight ends get involved in these two offenses. So really, it's just going to be Winston playing catch with Evans and Godwin, and Kyler Murray playing catch with Christian Kirk and Larry Fitzgerald, as well as David Johnson out of the slot and out of the backfield. So even though I think the run games are going to be terrible, the running backs should still be involved a little bit in the passing game. Overall, I really think that Bruce Arians' second team beats his first team. So the one that he's with right now, I think the Buccaneers actually win this game. And I'm going to go, I think this could be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say 31-28 Buccaneers.
Well, I'm going to go higher than that, 41-35 in favor of Tampa. Now, tell me a little bit about David Johnson. Is he going to be playing, or is he still banged up?
David Johnson has officially said he is 100%. He is playing. He is ready to go for this week. So really Thursday. I think he would have played last week if the game was not a Thursday night game. So given that, I think that David Johnson would have played had it had been a Monday night or a Sunday game. But because it was a Thursday game, I think they held him out just in case. He is fully 100% healthy and should be good to go for this week.
Is he a good option to go?
I still have him. He is going to be a top 10. He's a top 10 option at running back simply because of his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. Even if you even look at last week, the Seattle Seahawks with their run game, even against Tampa Bay being one of the top defenses against the run, Chris Carson still ran for over 100 yards. So that being said, I still think that Johnson is a solid option for this week.
Okay. Fair enough. We both believe that the defenses are going on vacation. So
the defenses for both these teams have been on vacation all year.
And they're going to stay on vacation for another week.
At least.
So we have a battle of Chiefs and Titans in Music City.
Yes, we do. And for this game, it is, as far as I've seen, it looks pretty official that Patrick Mahomes will be alive and kicking and playing in this game. So, let me. There it is. So, the defenses overall, neither one of these teams have really been great. The kind of middle of the road. The Titans have been a little bit better against wide receivers than the Chiefs have, but the Chiefs are built to put up a big lead, and then really, they'll be giving up points in garbage time, really, to wide receivers. And so really that's kind of how this Chiefs defense has been built, basically to kind of semi-support the offense. So in this game, I still think that with Mahomes coming back, that elevates Travis Kelce's fantasy value. He has not been all that great ever since Mahomes went out, and really hasn't had all that great of a season, really, to begin with. He's still a top 10 tight end, but it just hasn't worked out as well as everyone thought it would, with how he'd been the previous 3 years. That being said, I still think Mahomes is a solid option. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback. I think that Tyreek Hill is still a top 10 wide receiver. And then as far as the rest of the wide receivers go, they're kind of a wash. They're all kind of that wide receiver 3 to 4 range. You don't know who's going to get the ball. You don't know which one of them is going to be the breakout player for that game. So really, as far as I'm concerned, I'm leaving the rest of them alone. The running backs, again, it's hard to decide who's going to be the guy who actually gets the ball and actually does something with it. So as far as the Chiefs go, the only guys I want in my lineups are Mahomes, Hill, and Kelce. As far as the Titans go, Tannehill, I think, is an okay streaming option. He is, I talked about this on my podcast, that over the last 3 weeks, he's put up points of 20, 19, and 25. He's really been a very solid player the last few weeks since he started. So he could be an okay streamer. He's still a quarterback, too. Hunter Henry, I think, is in for an awesome game. I think that he should be looking at I'd say probably 100 to 120 rush yards. I think in this game, I think he can put that up against this Chiefs defense, who's really the only team that they've been able to stop running the ball was the Denver Broncos. Really, that was it. It's the only team that they've really been able to stop at all in terms of the run. The Chiefs have really actually, for the most part, done a pretty good job stopping up the pass. So really, I think in terms of this game, I think it's more for the Titans. Tannehill is okay, but it's really going to be the Hunter Henry the Derrick Henry show for the Titans. And so I have the Chiefs with Mahomes coming back, winning this game. I would say his first game back after a few weeks, there could be a little bit of rust. So I'd say the Chiefs win this one 28 to 21.
I'm right there with you. I just say 27-23 in favor of the Chiefs. And to Matt Moore's credit, I think he did a very admirable job filling in for Mahomes. He did a really good job, which is why he's employed, which is why he's one of the best backups in the league.
Yeah.
And he's been around a long time, and he's made a good living carrying a clipboard and throwing passes once in a while when he's called upon. Did a fine job in Miami when the Dolphins were relevant. So, in a Super Bowl battle that I don't even know if you were alive for, the L.A. Rams and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if you ever knew anything about Vince Ferragamo, but once upon a time he actually quarterbacked the Rams in that 31-19 loss to the Steelers and the Steel Curtain. But no Vince Ferragamo sighting, no Terry Bradshaw sighting. In fact, you got to wonder about the quarterbacks. Who do you have for Pittsburgh? Is it Mason Rudolph against Jared Goff?
Yes, so Rudolph against Goff in this one. I think that Goff can have an okay game. The Steelers do not do well stopping the pass game. Really, receivers have just been blowing them up all year. So I think that Cooper Kupp and Woods, Cooper Kupp especially, is going to be in for a big game coming off the bye week. I think that Josh Reynolds could be a solid play this week as a flex player. Stepping in as the wide receiver 3 with Brandon Cooks, there's still no timetable on him in terms of him coming back from his concussions. This is supposed to be a good matchup for tight ends in terms of Gerald Everett. That being said, Gerald Everett really had a stretch of like 2 or 3 games where he was good, and then it went back to just being to the wide receivers. I think that Gurley could struggle in this game. The Steelers are a top 7 team in terms of keeping running backs from scoring in fantasy. They've held fantasy running backs to about 6 points under their projection on average over the last 5 weeks. So this could be tough sledding for Gurley, but really I think it's more this is going to be a Goff and Kupp type of game. For the Steelers, I believe Samuels is the starter this week. As far as I still have not heard any word for sure about James Conner, about whether or not he's practicing it. I don't think he has practiced. They're still leaving hope just in case. But I think that Jalen Samuels is most likely to get the start and should be a solid play for this week because, again, most people are playing in at least half-point or full-point PPR type leagues. And Jalen Samuels, look at what he did last week. I want to say he had 8 carries and 10 catches. I look for a similar type of workload this next week, and he should get into the end zone this week. So I'm going to say in this one, I think the Rams win, but I'm going to say it's the Rams 24-21 over the Steelers.
You know what? I think Mike Tomlin's done one of his best coaching jobs since he's actually roamed the sidelines up in Western Pennsylvania, considering the fact he loses Bell and then he loses Antonio Brown, and the fact that even though they got out to a relatively slow start, the fact that they're 4-4 says a lot for Mike, for sure.
Well, yeah, and they lost Ben Roethlisberger week 2.
Oh yeah, can't forget Big Ben. But you know what? I'm going to differ with you just because it's okay to differ once in a while. What did you say, 24 to...
I said 24-21 Rams.
Well, you know what? I'll go 24-21 Steelers. How's that?
All right.
2 more games to talk about, the Minnesota Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys. Is this a matchup that we might see in the postseason, Ryan Skolrud?
I think it could be. It all depends on here's the thing. Kirk Cousins does not play well against winning teams, and he does not play well in prime time. And so I would be hesitant to use Kirk Cousins, even though he has been the most efficient quarterback and had the highest passer rating of any quarterback since week 5. He's going up against a defense that plays very well against quarterbacks and against the passing game in general. They have a solid defensive line that gets to the quarterback. So I think that Cousins may struggle in this game a little bit. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I think that Diggs may struggle. Cook for the Vikings, I think he may get into the end zone, but I wouldn't be surprised to only see him finish the game with like 50 or 60 rushing yards. And so you still have to start Cook. He's a I believe the number 2 running back overall in fantasy right now.